Hello and welcome to your Digital Mentor podcast. I am Isabela Malta from Welcome Connecting Science, coming to you from Cambridge, UK. Today we are doing something slightly different. A few of you are now applying or interviewing for master's or PhD positions, but many overlook the importance of really looking into your potential supervisors and their mentoring style. What will impact your satisfaction the most during graduate school is not the institution or the research topic you choose, but your thesis advisor. That one person can make your academic life heaven or hell. With that in mind, Heemstra kindly agreed to give us some tips on how to choose the right research supervisor and how to spot red flags. Jen is a professor of chemistry at Emory University in the US, where her research group is focused on using biomolecules for applications in biosensing and bioimaging. Jen is actively engaged in science communication and advocacy via her column in Chemical and Engineering News, professional development seminars, and her Twitter account at Jen Heemstra. Without further ado, here's Jen.
If you're considering graduate school or are about to start in a program, your choice of research advisor is one of the most important decisions that you're going to make. And while your graduate experience will have a foundation in research, and so it seems logical that research should be the most important thing guiding that choice of research advisor, it turns out that the advice that I most often hear about making this decision is that it's actually the mentoring style and lab culture of the advisor that will have by far the most impact on your success and happiness while you're in graduate school. So this begs the question, how do you choose then? It can be tough, especially if you don't have an opportunity to visit the program and meet face-to-face with the advisors and their labs. But that doesn't mean that you can't still gather information and try to make the best decision that you can. So when you're considering this, there's really two categories of types of information that should guide your decision. Some of that is just the styles and preferences of you and the lab or the advisor. There are some things that aren't necessarily good or bad, just different between labs. And the goal there is to figure out what is best for you at that stage of your career and which labs will align best with that. And so these are things like whether you want to be in a small lab that has a lot of interactions with every single person in the lab every day, or whether you'd like to be in a large lab where maybe you have access to a broader network. Or if you want a research advisor who's going to be highly involved and talk to you about your project every day, or whether you want an advisor who's going to be more hands-off and give you more space to be independent. And so with those things, again, just figure out and think about what is best for you at your current career stage and where you are going to find the best match for those preferences. So there are also things that are definitely good or bad. And there the goal is to run towards the green flags and run away from the red flags. And so these are things like a culture of inclusion and respect, having flexible and reasonable work hours, and having a valuing of activities beyond research. That again, research is the foundation of what you'll do, but really a graduate experience is about building all of the skills that you will want to have for your future career. And so that includes a lot of professional development activities as well. And so here you can learn a lot just by observing a lab or again, talking with lab members. And so you can look for red flags, things like if lab members don't get to leave at the end of the day until after the research advisor goes home, that can be a sign of a culture of overwork, and that's something that you want to avoid. And so how do you figure all of this out, especially if you don't get to visit? This is where your research skills come in handy. You're going to graduate school to do research, and you can use that same skill set in order to make the best decision. And so a good way to do that is to reach out to current and former lab members and ask them really specific questions. You can often find their contact information on a group website, or you can find them via social media. And maybe not everyone will be available to chat, but there's a really good chance that a lot of people will. And so once you have that conversation, again, focus in on very specific questions rather than asking, is this person a good mentor or did you have a good experience? Think about questions like, how did the advisor respond when you told them about a failed project? What professional development activities do they provide or support you participating in? What are the specific policies for time off, for vacation, or personal emergencies? And as you consider the answers, realize that there's a lot in what is said in those answers, but also there's a lot in what's not said. If all you get are really vague or non-specific answers, that itself could be a red flag. If people don't even feel comfortable to be candid about what it's like in a lab. And so hopefully that provides a little bit of guidance as you make this extremely important decision. But if nothing else, if I could boil it down to just one piece of advice that I often give, it's that while it's tempting to think about where we want to be on the best day of our life when research is working and your manuscript just got accepted and your fellowship got funded, it's more important to think about where you want to be on the worst day of your life. So when none of your projects are working and your manuscript got rejected, and then you get a phone call about a personal emergency that you have to deal with, think about whose office you want to walk into on that day. And that is the person that you likely want to choose as your future research advisor.
Thank you, Jen, for sharing these valuable tips. And for our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Please follow us on Twitter at mentor_podcast. As always, information on the episode and how to reach us will be in the description box, including how to connect with Jen, and also links to useful articles related to today's episode. And finally, our goal is for this podcast to be shared as a resource, so please remember to tell people about us. See you next time.